Hi there, join me as I tackle this sparse arrays problem from HackerRank data structures. You might think that this is just a problem from HackerRank, but today in the real world of so much data, the sparse arrays are such an important part of data management, graph analytics, and a lot of different things in machine learning. They really help with storage management because they only care about values that exist and they don't really care about the values that do not exist. This is what we're going to do in this problem. But as an example, if the number of fruit that you're looking is tremendous, so if you've got like 30 different fruit types that you're looking, sparse arrays will only store the ones that are available and will assign 0 to everything else. So sparse arrays are used to save in memory and speed up computations. So let's deep dive into this one. I'm going to try and make it really easy for you. I'm not giving you the code answer here. You can do it elsewhere. Here, I will help you to understand and think about the problem and then devise the solution. Let's do that. So in this episode, we're tackling the sparse arrays. It is said to be a medium problem, but I would think it is not really that hard for it to be a medium because as you can see, 97.36% of people have successfully tackled it. So let's jump into this. I also have a Jupyter notebook in black on the right-hand side. This will help me to break the problem into pieces and run you through my way of thinking. I know that there are so many different ways of tackling a problem, but let's see what this one we can tackle with. Without reading the text, I'll tell you what the task is. We will be given a string list and we will be given a list of queries. What we have been asked to do is to look at each query, like this one, for example, AB, and see how many times it has been repeated in the string list. As you can see, AB has been repeated 2 times. So that will be 2, write that down. And then when I look at ABC, I can see that ABC has been repeated once. So I will have 1 next and comma. For BC, there are no repetitions. So the answer will be 0. What we will be doing is to print 2, 1, 0 in this manner. 2, 1, and 0. We are not going to be returning a list. We're just going to be returning 2, 1, and 0. So this is pretty easy, but I will scroll down so that you can see the actual example. So what we're going to get is a number that tells us how many strings there will be. As you can see, there will be 4 strings, and we will be getting them one by one. As you can see, this will be a for loop. And we will be getting the number of queries, and the next 3 lines are the queries that we will be getting. And I think that's, again, a for loop. And here is the output. We will be printing 2, 1, 0, as I did run you through. All right, let me look at HackerRank and see what HackerRank has already provided. So up the top here, we have all the libraries that we need. And down the bottom, this is the function that we have to complete. Let me just copy this function because I will need it. I will put it here, and I will write the rest of the inputs above because this is going to be coming next. All right, what are the inputs? You can just ignore this because this is for the environment of HackerRank for us to be able to write code. I will start here. Let me just zoom out a bit because this is looks a bit messed up. I know that you might be looking on your phone and it's not really visible, but it's really hard to explain when there is a lot of text there. So we will be getting the count of string list. That's exactly this number here. So this number 4 will be coming through this one. And then we will be creating an empty container. None of this code is my code. This is all in your HackerRank. We will be creating an empty container to put the strings into that container. And this is where we get all the strings. We will be doing exactly the same for queries. If I go up and copy all these lines, okay, now that I have copied all those lines, let me have a look. And I can see that, yep, the function that I have to create is called match strings, matching strings. And I will be running the matching strings here. I need to create also a variable called res, which is going to keep the results. All right. If I'm going to mimic this exact example, I will run this, copy the example. So go 4, I've got ABA, BABA, and ABA again, X, XZ, XB. And now 3, this is for the queries, ABA, XZ, XB, and AB. So all the inputs are already stored in my Jupyter notebook. What I have to do now is think about how do I check whether, for example, this ABA exists in this string list. Let me show you first what the string list looks like. So if I go string and press tab, I can show you that the string list is as such. And if I show you the queries, you will see that there's no S there, get rid of that. Queries are ABA, XZ, XB, and AB. The way the human thinks about this takes a query, and checks whether it exists in here. That's as easy as that. So I will say ABA, how many times does it exist here? 1 time and 2 times. And then I will remember, or I will just write it down, that 2 ABAs. Then I will take XZXB and only 1 time. And AB's turn, I'll have a look. Oh, well, there are no ABs, and I will go 0. This is how my brain works, and I want to mimic that into code. For me to be able to mimic that, I will write a for loop. That's what I was doing, right? I was taking them one by one, and I was taking them from the queries, because we're not going to be looping over the strings because we don't really care about them. We will just check if this thing, any of them, exists up the top. So if I write a for loop, and let me show you that the for loop works actually, you will see that I'm looking at ABA, which is the first query. I'm looking at XZXB and then AB within this queries list. This is good. So I know that I will be using a for loop for query. Now I need to do a one-on-one matching. I want to understand if ABA exists in the string list. Well, let me show you something very small. I will clean this, but if I go ABA in string list, Python allows me to check whether something, which is a query in this case, exists in that string list. And it tells, yep, it does exist. So if I use the same mentality, that was what I was doing, right? As a human, I was saying, hey, does this ABA exist in here? Yeah, it does. So start counting. Does it exist again? Yes, it does. Start counting again. That's what I'm going to do here. If I go down, let me delete this. I want to add the same mentality. I will write if the query that you have selected from the for loop inside the queries list exists inside the string list, then print yay. So it has printed twice. I would think it has printed yay for ABA and once for XZXB. What I am really missing here is that, well, ABA has been repeated twice. I need to capture twice for ABA and once for XZXB. What this tells me is that if I treat the query question inside the string list as a whole, I will never be able to pick and choose how many times it repeats. It will look inside it and it will say, yep, it's there. But it doesn't really tell me, is it the same one that we understood it before, or is it the next one that we should understand now? In that case, what I will do, I will probably write another for loop because I feel the need to write another for loop for the strings. So for any string inside the string list, I will have to do a one-on-one comparison. I will have to say, hey, the query that you have selected, which is ABA in the first case, if this first one equals this first one, start counting. This is what I should be doing. I need something here that starts counting, right? I will start with count of 0. Every time I see one instance, I will have to add to it because ABA, yep, I saw it. They are the same. That's 1. ABA again, they are the same. Add 1 and we'll make it 2. So this is what I'm going to do. If the query that you have in your hand right now, which is ABA, equals the string that you're looking from the string list, if they are the same thing, I know what to do. Add 1 to the count. So I will say count equals count plus 1. And if I want to run this a bit more sexy, if I write exactly the same thing, but in a more sexy way, I will just write this. It does exactly the same thing, but it's just shorter and a bit nicer. All right, now this is getting there. The only thing I don't have is to have a container to store the numbers as I am counting them. Here, in my case, in a human case, I was just using my fingers to say 1, 2, and then I was writing them down. I was like 2 for ABA, 1 for XZXB. Here, I don't have any container. Let me make a container, which is called like results, and I will keep it empty. As I go down, for every one of these queries, I want to, once finalized, I want to put them inside my container. As you can see, I am intending to put this results append under the query for loop because I want to make sure I look at all the strings, I do my countings, and then put it back into my container. So what I'm going to be appending is the count. Once I'm done with the counting, I will just put it inside the results. So if I run this one right now, and if I run a cell for results, you will see that I have got 210. This is exactly the answer that I'm looking for. What we will do right now is to copy all of this. And this isn't the best solution. Wait for my better solution. This isn't really the best. This is just a brute force, very naive and beginner solution. But I want to make sure it works. So I'll bring it down here and I will paste it here. I'll just indent this stuff. All I have to do, because it's a function, it needs to have a return. Every function in Python needs to have a return. And what I will be returning is the results. Let me copy all of that. And I will go back in here. This is the function that I am completing. Let me just replace it, make sure everything is nicely indented. Okay, so moving my face to the other side to run the code. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Yeah, test cases are okay. As I said, this is not my best solution. I will write another one very soon. Let me submit codes to see if it works. All right, this one worked, but this is a brute force. This is not really optimized for computation. This is not going to be fast over a bigger database problem. Let me run you through a better solution. You may ask, why is this one really optimal? Because imagine you have two lists and one of them is lost and one of them is the found, and somebody's asking a query. There are 1,000 items in the lost and there are 1,000 items in the found. And for this, you will have to repeat a query process 1 million times. It gets really, really slow when you scale it. That's why I want to give you a bit more optimal solution. For my optimal solution, I'll have to write it down in my Jupyter notebook. Let me write this here. I'll call this option 1. I'll make it a markdown, and let's go down and make a new one. This one will be called option 2. For option 2, I want to use hash maps. Hash maps or hash tables or hash dictionaries are an optimal way of storing and retrieving data. They use key value pairs like dictionaries in Python, and they are super fast as opposed to brute force approaches. So in this case, if I want to use a hash map, I will need a ledger. For my ledger, I will need a frequencies dictionary. Again, think of this as your container because you're going to start counting and putting it into your dictionary as you count them. It is very powerful, you will see. Once I have the container, what I will do first, which is really smart, is to look at my string list. I'm not gonna start looking at my queries yet. So I will say for every string in my string list, what I want you to do is capture how many times each of these words or phrases are stored. For example, I wanna look at ABA. Let me show you what it will do. If I show you a string list, it will take ABA and it will capture how many times it has been repeated here. So it will say ABA has been repeated twice, Baba has been repeated once, and XZXB has been repeated only once. So for that, what I will be doing is to look at my frequencies, and I will get for each string the number of counts, and I will add 1 to it. So once I do this, and if I show you the frequencies, it will say ABA has been repeated twice, Baba has been repeated once, and XZXB has been repeated. Let me run you how this for loop runs. It says, take the first phrase or word within this list. Okay, it will take ABA. And it says, for ABA counting within this container, what I want to do is, first, let me see how many times it already exists inside this container. If it doesn't, it assigns a 0. And every time it seizes again, it will add 1 to it, which is very powerful. This way you will have all the frequencies for the strings captured inside a hash map. Once you have done that, the rest of this is so easy. Essentially, you will be doing the same thing. So this time I will create a results list because I want to capture the results as I go down. And I will write a for loop for queries this time. So go through the queries. And what I want to do is inside the results, I want you to append the frequencies that you will get for each query, and if it doesn't exist, assign 0 to it. When I run this and show you the results, you will see that I have 2, 1, and 0. This is super powerful, and it is way better than brute forcing it. Hash maps are an awesome way of going faster and a bit more efficient. Now, I just need to form my function. What I will do, I will take all of this and I will come up here. Let me delete what I had before, paste this here, and I'm just gonna indent this to the front. And if I go to my Jupyter notebook, this is the next bit that I need. This, okay, I've got my results, I've got this. And all I have to do now is type return results. That's not how you write results. Let me run the code and keep my fingers crossed. Hopefully this will be better. Yep, absolutely. All I need to do now is submit the code, hope for the best. As you saw, hash maps are faster and a bit more efficient and really more professional. All right, thank you for watching, and I am so glad that I am able to produce a lot of high quality videos, and I'm really appreciating all the comments that I'm getting. It really makes me energized and helps me build more videos for you. So thank you for watching, subscribe to my channel and send it to your friends. Thanks.